So here in cinema we have a scene.
What's up guys, Axis here and I'm back with showing you how to create a simple shockwave in Houdini.
We're so proficient at everything, you know. That's why it's called the Generalists.
The Generalists, episode 2 already. Look at that, we're basically full time.
I know, I'm quitting my job next week. I'm throwing in the towel.
And next week we'll be doing live shows with masks on.
We're gonna do a live pool. We're gonna do like a live podcast at a pool party.
Oh.
I think that's next.
Yeah, we should do that, and we would make Jake
That'd be
Paul.
so fucking boring though. Imagine though coming to a pool party just to hear people talk about octane render.
Oh, imagine that.
You'd be fucking out.
So, are you unbiased or biased?
Are you paying for the subscription or you're rich? You bought the full license. You did. Wow.
Oh, that would be elite. Honestly, it'd be amazing.
That's a pool party I'm going to.
Yeah, I know, right? It would be. Do you think it would be a sausage fest, or do you think there'd be women there too?
Definitely a sausage fest. Like this is such. It's too male dominated, this industry. Even though you think it wouldn't be, because it's like, you know, art is not really like. It's not really gender specific, is it?
Oh, I see a lot of women on Instagram and stuff. Quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
I even saw a tutorial from a girl the other day. Oh, that's cool. Love to see
Sometimes I
that.
don't know if it's a child or a girl though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like some folk I'm just like, is this just like some really fucking amazing child teaching me how to do this?
You
Or is it a girl?
do see some really young people though. I mean, well, you were young. You were a lot younger than me when you were doing tutorials. I started when I was like 18 doing tutorials.
Yeah. That's
you
so
were
weird.
you were like 14.
I just had like a damn near like a crisis when you said that, because I was thinking back to when people would be like, "Oh, you're so young, teaching me how to do this."
No,
And I was
that's
like
funny.
13, and now I'm like 21.
You can learn from anybody though. You can learn from anybody. Like,
As
I don't
long
know,
as
I do think about how far, like, you know, I stopped doing tutorials for like a whole year, like I was making them in like 2018, and then just stopped for like a year and a half. Didn't do anything again till last, what was it, November? October? Bounced back with that noise tutorial.
the non-procedural noise tutorial.
That was procedural, actually. That one was
Oh, was it?
procedural.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was. Was it not Octane? Was it Octane noise?
Yeah. But then the new version of Octane 2020 doesn't let you use C4D noises in displacement. You have to use baking textures, and baking textures just basically freeze anybody's computer.
I remember when that came out, I was like, I thought like I would do a tutorial on it because I was like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I realized it's just slow as shit and it's not worth it.
Why is it so slow?
How could you use Cinema 4D noises before? I don't remember. Could you do that?
You couldn't use Octane noises in the displacement, but you could use
Yeah, that's right.
Cinema ones. Now it's the other way around. So you can use Octane ones, but you can't use Cinema ones, which is really odd. So clearly the way they found around it was to make one work but not the other, and they can't make both work. But now I constantly get comments of people saying, "Oh my god, I can't follow this tutorial because Octane 2020 is fucking me over." And I'm just like, isn't it fucking us all over?
What's changed since I've been away? Is much changed apart from the displacement?
Are you want a bit in
being
Octane
broken.
or Cinema?
Octane.
In Octane, there is one big thing, and I think it's something that we're all very, very happy to have, and I think is honestly changing the game, and that's
Fractals.
Vectors.
I already knew as soon as you said game changing it was fractals.
Didn't I send you a Snapchat a few months ago, just me playing around with the Vectron, and then I never touched it again. I was like, okay,
That's
this is
the thing,
cool,
though,
whatever.
All these features, like, because I keep, every time I go on Facebook to see like who's like pregnant from my school, I always see like Octane has brought out like some new add-on or new program or whatever, and I saw that fractal thing and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I knew it was something that people would use for like a day.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's like
the
so
renders you
single
can do with it, it's so limited, and they
purpose.
all look the same.
Yeah.
Like it's so identifiable. It's like, oh yeah, he's Fractal. Okay, cool, nice. Do you know what I did revisit though this week was PolyFX.
Oh, the thing that splits up all the polygons and you can run effectors.
Yeah. That's what I used for the. I can't speak about it for about a month, but you know the lightning bolt thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I used for that. It came useful. It worked. You wouldn't be able to tell it's PolyFX, you know. So I'll definitely scratch up a tutorial on that when I'm allowed and I won't get my head bit off for it.
Did you sign an NDA?
Not quite there yet.
No.
Not Budweiser yet.
I mean, lots of people make you sign fucking NDAs, even if it's a small job. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's through an agency though, so I don't know if the NDA gets that far. I guess the agency probably doesn't get to me.
It should do. If the fucking agency is like handing you information that you shouldn't share, then they should give you an NDA. Well, I mean, you could just, if you don't care about them being your client again, you just share it anyway, and there's no legal repercussions. I mean, it's a client that give me work like every month, so okay.
I can't.
Don't do that. Don't go sharing the lightning bolt tutorial too early.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely.
But you know what? If you I would actually like to see. Could you send me the scene? Like, I want to have a look at it.
Yeah. I mean, you saw that. I
showed
you
and
the
release a
final
tutorial
result.
before you about the lightning bolt and PolyFX.
I mean, I showed you the tutorial wouldn't be on the lightning bolt. It would be what I did to the lightning bolt. You know, because like I said, I used the lightning bolt as a.
Are you giving away too much?
I'm giving away too much. No, it was.
The lawyers were fucking. They got their pen and pad out.
You saw the final result though, and you.
I'm joking.
You got the pen and pad. You couldn't even. It was very different. There was a lot of post on that.
Yeah, that's just Octane now. He's posting everything.
Absolutely. It was a fun project though. It was a fun project. I miss doing things like that.
You should do a tutorial on the ground on that though. It was nice.
I tried that today, and I couldn't get the light right. So I made an omelette and came back and made a grading tutorial.
Wait, you came back and you made the tutorial, like it just worked after you had an omelette, or you gave up?
And I gave up on it and made a grading tutorial. I looked at my list of because I was just going to pick this long list of tutorial ideas. I sit down every day. I'm going to upload the tutorial, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do the ground on this one because it looks fucking cool. And then I tried it, and I couldn't get it right because Cinema 4D noises. And then I got annoyed, ran away, listened to some Jaden Smith, made an omelette, came back, and then made the grading tutorial, which came out well, and it's the highest performing video on my channel yet. So,
what, the one you posted today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go
Number
watch that again. Everyone that's watching, go watch it again. I don't even know if we're going to keep this bit in because we're talking absolute nonsense about it.
No, it's good. It's an intro. It's just like you don't want to get too into the subject straight away. You know, you're just rambling. People like the rambling. It's the flow of conversation. It's the art of conversation. Mm-hmm. We like that. But
some people like that, but some people just want you to jump into what the title says.
Especially in this world. Are all like, too much rambling, but good tutorial anyhow.
That's literally my whole life. I'll make one joke and someone say that I rambled.
Yeah, I'm so nice to everybody though. I got a comment today. For all I know, the guy could be watching this, and he was like, "This tutorial was painful to follow, but I love your render style and the way your renders look." And they completely contradict their slightly like not so nice like comment by just like throwing in a lovely compliment, and it's like, okay, how can I be mad at you?
Well, he says that he doesn't like your tutorials, but he likes that you make nice renders.
I know, he did, didn't he? I think a lot of people, I always feel like there's those people that have issues with it. I mean, there's as much people that like them as they don't. I have like 2 people that dislike my videos every week. I love it. I mean, whether they like it or not, they're fans.
That's the worst though.
They're waiting. There's just like 2 dislikes pop. I'm starting to get more as well. I don't know. It
used to happen a lot when I was in school. I would always get 1 dislike a video, and it would just like eat me to the fucking core.
I know,
like
right?
Back then I'd be able to be like, can we get 150 likes on this? And now I'll get like fucking 20 likes.
No way.
So sad. not 20, but like 50 to 100.
It's you're waiting for that Houdini boom.
What will happen one day?
Yeah, we should use that.
That's actually what I'm here to do. I'm a sales rep.
We should use that to lead into the subject, though. What are we talking about? Cinema 4D versus Houdini? Cinema 4D or 3ds Max?
So we're just talking about the alternatives to what you probably are subscribed for.
I still feel like Cinema 4D is the giant. I still feel like it has it to the layman.
No, it definitely does. Like the majority.
Yeah, like I speak to people. Like there's a guy I know. He's a tradesman. He's a plumber. Kind of a friend of a friend. It's more of a friend these days. And
shade.
Shade.
Oh wait, no, it's not shade because he's okay. Never mind.
Yeah, no, I just met him through my friend. But we were playing some games together a few months ago, and he was just like telling me how he knows what Cinema 4D is. I was like, what? Really? And there was another client I had a few months ago who was like, you would not expect to have used Cinema 4D, and he'd used it. And I have a friend whose dad had used it. It's like it's that kind of surface thing where you get a slightly kind of tech-driven person or a slightly nerdy person, and they know about it. And they know that that's the 3D, because I think you only have to Google 3D software for a few minutes to find it.
Yeah, just because there's such like a wealth of fucking tutorials out there for cinema as well. Like I was saying last week about, well, I don't think this is in the podcast, but I was saying how like I don't think there's a very good like forum scene for cinema, because like at least public forum scene.
Creative Cow is okay.
Yeah, I just mean like when I look up something and I want to, because like the one time that I need to use cinema or whatever for a project because somebody's made it in cinema, I look up something and it would just be like C4D Cafe forum post from like 2008 or whatever. But there's a lot more video content for cinema, like free video content for Cinema 4D than there are for a lot of programs. Yeah, I'd say that the king of video content though has got to be fucking Blender though.
Yeah, I agree. I think Blender has really generalized content. There's a lot of cool dudes doing Blender, like quite kind of average kind of guys that just look like quite normal dudes. There's a guy that makes, I forgot his name. Oh, yeah, he makes sick Blender tutorials. He makes like on modeling on Blender. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I forgot his name. But I feel like Octane has a good forum stance. It's you can come up with solutions very easily. That's what I was saying, public
forums.
Yeah, I mean,
because like when I look up something, I don't see it, but if you were to go like specifically to Octane forums, then yeah, you probably find it. Yeah, like a lot of learning in 3D is like, yeah, you can get your degree or whatever, but you're always going to be learning when a project calls you to know something you don't, and that's pretty much every project. And I had never had to autofocus on an object before, ever. Just never had to do it. Never had to autofocus on an object. Not autofocus, sorry. Use a focus object in a scene to focus on the object while it's moving around. Never had to do that until a project I just did. And I was like... That's outrageous. That's quite embarrassing. I know. I'm joking. It is. I've never had to do it. And then I was like, okay, how am I doing this in Octane? I'd done it before Octane, but I hadn't done it in Octane. I'm like, how am I doing this in Octane? Aperture is completely different. And then I just went on the forum, found it in 2 minutes. You have to drag your focal length to 0, and then you do your usual thing. You drag your focus object into the camera. But then, it's the whole thing of like, what do I do with the focal length? And then, straight away, I had the solution to it. Can you link, or were you linking it with Espresso or something? No. Something else. I just wanted to have. It wasn't a case of like tracking it was the lightning bolt thing. I just wanted to have. I had quite an aggressive camera movement. And you don't want it like snapping to the background. Yeah, pretty much. And autofocus is unreliable. So, especially if you've got VDBs in the scene, it just focuses on whatever object's closest. I know. So. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like the amount of times I use autofocus, spend 16 hours rendering, and then it just like starts flickering. I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. And I've done this autofocus in a long time. I thought Octane didn't have it. I think since I've been using Octane, I've started ignoring a lot of
the default.
You got a bit of tunnel vision.
Yeah, I started ignoring kind of a lot of the default Cinema 4D camera tools. You know, because there's a lot of the things that just don't even work anymore when you've got an Octane camera tag. Octane Live Viewer just won't listen to them. So it's interesting to know what ones do and what ones don't. And that kind of stuff isn't in the Octane manual either, which is, you just got to learn. You know?
Yeah, I do find that annoying with a lot of render engines though. Like, some of them will use a lot of like the stock options and they'll work, and then other render engines, it's all like they've written their own proprietary stuff in their own like little tag or whatever that you have to go through.
Exactly.
And nothing else works.
The Octane manual is very good though. I want a physical version of that. I really want a physical version of it.
They make a killing cell now. I would get one just to have on display. I'd never read it, but
I'd like flick through it. You'd hear the pages going into tutorial, and I'd like point at it.
You should just have like a little face cam with you on your chair.
Yeah,
and like a little monocle reading your Octane manual.
Okay. So how should we tackle this whole dilemma? Do we think Cinema 4D is at some point going to become obsolete? No.
Because when I was writing stuff for this like uni episode that we might do, I was saying like, if you're like starting from nothing, you know nothing, and all you know is that you want to be a 3D artist and you want to go into motion graphics, cinema is still like the most like in demand program. You know, it's still like the most, you need to know this program, that program. You always need to know, you always need to be proficient in cinema for the majority of places that do motion graphics. They'll always ask for cinema, and they'll be like, "Oh, it'll be useful if you know this." And the this is normally Houdini and maybe RealFlow. But yeah, like most places, because most people still use cinema, and all the people that are, you know, like senior artists probably, you know, grew up in like the sort of heyday, I guess, of cinema being, you know, like the main use program in motion graphics. That's what most people are asking for still. So it's still like a pretty safe bet to still go with cinema. And also, I don't know if you want to interject.
Well, I was going to say I mean, how, maybe a better argument is how much, rather than being black and white, do you need cinema? Do you need Houdini? Which one do you want? Maybe more the argument is at what point do you start using cinema, depending on how vigilant you are with learning it, at what point do you start needing Houdini assets?
Well, it really depends like who your clients are and what they expect from you. And if you want to push yourself to that, you might be comfortable just making, you know, like I don't want to like offend people. You making like fucking broadcast you know, maps for documentaries or whatever. You don't need Houdini. You just need fucking a ball and a displacement map and a good render.
Yeah, that's true. And we do have things like Volume Builder now, you know, being able to run noises through objects and stuff. I think that helps delay the phase of being like, that's it, I'm getting Houdini. You know?
Yeah.
Because that happened with me for a while. And I am very new to Houdini. But I definitely can't see myself ever going fully Houdini, but I can see myself using it as a side tool to pull what I need when I need it. I mean, I just pulled a simulation for ketchup from it, you know, and I made some rocks in it, you know, and it's allowing me to do things that I couldn't do before. And there's no way, you know, those rocks I made, there's no way to do that in cinema. And I tried before, and there's just no way. So there's always that kind of benefit. But then what can cinema do that Houdini can't? And, you know, not thinking about like interface and the way it can learn, what distinct things does it have that Houdini doesn't?
Well, probably the speed of it. So and it's very good at single purpose, like a single purpose, which is motion graphics, like the MoGraph tool set. Even though there's tool sets for Houdini, like I've forgotten the name now. There was a tool set that was basically supposed to emulate MoGraph in
Okay.
Houdini, which is really good. It's free. Oh yeah, it's called Motion Operators MOPS, and it's free. But like
Mops,
out of the
sops,
box,
slopes.
yeah, I know, right? It's continuing the naming scheme. But cinema, like, yeah, tons of people can just go throughout their entire career and just use cinema, and maybe they'll use like you're using, like, use Houdini where they need to.
Yeah, I mean, the GSG guys are so big on cinema. They've been using it for decades, you know.
Mhm.
And then you see, like, there's that course. I think one of the Man vs Machine guys came and did with GSG, for procedural systems in cinema, which, I got the course, and it was excessively complex stuff in cinema, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's stuff that there's definitely a bit of wiggling to get to that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, like, there's a lot of like the complicated stuff I feel like you have to look for, because if you don't, then you can easily just overlook cinema as like a really simple fucking bouncy text generator, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the MoGraph system has such a distinct look about it. You know, I was looking at this. David Ariev posted something on Facebook, and he was going over this practically shot advert, and he was like, I don't get why they did this, why they hired a film crew. Like, this would be so much cheaper and easier to get someone in cinema to do it, and it even has that MoGraph look. You know, it had that kind of like white and like blue kind of color, you know, that just like MoGraph kind of look to it. And MoGraph definitely has a look. When you think about it, it really, like, delay effectors, random effectors, push apart effects. It definitely has a look.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, definitely, and the fact that they're still updating it and improving it, and with fields and better implementation with vertex maps and stuff like that.
Fields are cool. I really like fields. I still like. There's a lot of them though, and I feel like when they first introduced fields, I got really overwhelmed. I was like, bring back fall offs. Why are you doing this? And then
Me too. I'm still like that.
yeah, and you
Cinema.
get used to them, but it's like, outside of like a linear field and maybe a spherical a field, like, what else do you need? Why is there all the others? It's like, noise fields are cool, like random fields. Like, yes, they come in useful for like volume builder, but you can't really use that in a good way to bounce text into the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Because you may as well just use two linear fields.
Yeah.
It's so strange. So they definitely have their purpose, all of them, but then there's like box fields and all these different fields. It's like, when am I going to use these?
Yeah, I guess it's all just like use case specific stuff. So
Yeah.
they're probably like,
I
well,
do
maybe someone
feel
will.
like cinema should come out with a bunch of new effectors though. I think there's a lot of different, after using Houdini, there's a lot of things that they could come out with, and especially on the deformer side, the way you can take a piece of geometry in Houdini and just put a noise or a turbulent noise over the top of the geometry so all the edges become distorted through noise is insane. And why can't we do that in cinema?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't remember completely, but I think deformers will use like UVs and stuff like that. So
yeah, I remember you saying this, yeah.
Yeah, if they could make it so that you could displace via, maybe you already can, because I've not been in, I'm not privy to cinema completely anymore. But if they could make it so you just displace via noise or whatever, then you could get those lovely edges and stuff like that. And cinema already has some pretty good noises already, but I don't know what like some of the noises in Houdini, like we're using like whirly or whatever to get like those edges and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you do notice that when you put like a displacer in a cube, it just or a sphere, it just kind of breaks it apart at the edges. It is just like a complicated push apart.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Doesn't work. Yeah, it's funny. I do feel like cinema still has systems in it that it uses. Like, you know, you look at like modeling in SolidWorks and you look at like polygon modeling, and I feel like the communication between like the kind of modeling you have in SolidWorks and polygon modeling, they don't work well together, and it's like, could cinema add something that corresponds better with that? you know?
Yeah, there's tons of ways in which cinema can improve, but I think that it really excels at, I guess, like meeting what the majority of the users use it for.
It's a generalist program.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember talking to one of the freelancers that I work with quite a lot. He was saying, like, when he was trying to use Houdini, it's like to do the same thing he was trying to do in cinema, it took like 10 minutes to set up all the stuff whereas you could do it in like 2 minutes in cinema. And it just didn't make any sense to him why he would spend all that time just so that he could set it up in a different program. So he doesn't see any reason to move to it because, like he's not like a fucking really he just does MoGraph text or whatever. Like this guy does like sculpting and all this stuff, but I guess he just uses that specific program that he needs for that job, which is probably ZBrush, and then he'll probably UV it in a different program because cinema's UVing is kind of, well, I mean, it's gotten better in our whatever the new one is, 22, but it's not ideal. So I guess he just uses the right tool for the job instead of like me, where I'm like, well, I want all the things that I can possibly get in one package, so I don't have to leave. I just stay in this one package that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
Whereas he'll just use the best tool for the job, which gets some results. So
there's still so many parts of cinema I haven't touched in my coming up 8 years of using it. There's so many parts I haven't touched. Like there's so many tools in the kind of like presentation side of it, like notes and drawing on your scenes and stuff. I'm like, whoa, right, this was in here, and I know that's not very functional stuff, but
I've seen it used though, like drawing on the screen, like if you're working with multiple people, or if you're working with like a director, if they know the program, they'll draw on the screen and show this or that.
It's really cool stuff. It's really cool, and I feel like, I mean, maybe it's so hard to say because I've been using cinema for so long, but the way cinema handles groups and the way it handles layers and material layers, you can keep your workflow and your projects very neat, and I don't know how well that goes on in other softwares, but Houdini, there's definitely more going on the screen at once, and I think that's what scares people, especially that it's like instantly a node editor, and I know there is ways around that, but And personally, I feel like I would work quicker with a node editor now in cinema, but years ago I was scared of node editors. I used Octane for probably half a year without touching the node editor.
Yeah.
It used to scare me a lot.
I guess that the advantage of a node editor is just that it's like looking under the hood of like a fucking car or whatever. Like you see all the moving parts, you can go back and change something that you created way at the start.
I have noticed in Houdini though, you can go underneath the nodes and actually look at the nodes they use to compose the nodes you use.
That's the craziest part.
Yeah.
Like when you get used to it, like you realize that like side effects are literally creating new tools from all the existing tools and
it's
just
crazy.
Updating Houdini and being like, here, this is a new thing.
Yeah, I noticed that. I went
just
into them and I was
repurposed
like,
a bunch of nodes.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? This is crazy. The thing is with me, and I said this to you when I first got into Houdini, was this spoke to me. I was like, it felt like I should have been using it the whole time.
Yeah,
and we're all kind of feel this kind of block with it, but it just felt right. And I think that's the
all I was
process
saying was like, I feel like when I was using, I don't know if it's just because of specific things I was trying to do, but I felt like I was breaking cinema every time I wanted to do something.
I felt that a lot. I've really felt that, and I nearly messaged you the other day and made a joke because I opened something and crashed it. I didn't even do anything like that bad. I forgot why. I
mean, fucking Houdini crashes a hell of a lot as well. Like, I'm not gonna just be like, it's the best thing ever or whatever. Like, it's
a part of 3D. You got used to it, and when you're on like slightly lower end gear, when you're an amateur, you can convince yourself it's because of your PC or this or that. But no matter what PC you go, you're never gonna prevent crashes. You're always going to accidentally click too low in the voxels.
Yeah, exactly. Or you sometimes in whatever version you have, if you make like a certain, sequence of selections or whatever, then it'll crash from that or something dumb like that. And you just got to get used to it. But, like you were saying, like you think that it's like your PC or whatever, but then you could say the same thing about programs, because in a lot of ways, like, people that are creating amazing work that people will look at and say, "Oh, did you use Houdini for this?" And it's like, no, they're completely just a Cinema 4D artist. Like, it's really not the tool in a lot of cases, especially with render engines and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because everything's kind of reached like the same level in a lot of ways, and everything can if you know a program well enough, you can go into it and get what you want out of it in a lot of ways. Sure, there's limitations in certain softwares. If you want to go past a certain number of particles in cinema with thinking particles or X particles, and you're not going to have a very fun time. But for most things, like, if you're proficient enough and if you know enough about the program, then you can get what you want out of it. And it's really just artist dependent and artist limited.
Yeah, that's definitely, because you do see some people doing some stuff in cinema and you're like, wait, you did that in cinema? What, like, how?
Yeah, no, totally.
And there's one thing you just put in my head there when you mentioned X particles is, I think although cinema does compete with Houdini, it doesn't compete with Houdini at what Houdini does. It competes with Houdini at what cinema does. And and I feel like, Volume Builder is a step forward, but why do we have to rely on Forester, Hot 4D and X particles to do what Houdini does? And I think Maxon could come forward, and I think X particles is maybe too far forward and too developed now to just ditch that and Maxon be like, yeah, let's make our own. Because I think X particles works too well. But I think if you eventually make, and X particles probably got too much profit, but I think you could afford to make X particles a part of cinema, and I feel like that would help it.
Buying fucking Redshift and
the tree climbs down, doesn't it? Yeah.
But I mean, they also make that Cycles renderer, which is in Blender, and that's like Blender's like default render. So I don't know, maybe they have a lot of influence as well.
That's true.
But maybe they're looking at X particles and saying, well, like, this company has been exclusive in our program, and they're giving us business as well. So maybe it's sort of a scummy thing to do for us to go and create like a equal or better particle system that kind of makes them obsolete. I don't know. Yeah, there could be something going on there that we don't know about. I just feel like cinema's simulation game is preventing itself from even being in question against Houdini. It's just not there, I mean, the fact. I mean, even Blender's particle systems, and you can do fire and whatnot. I think it's because of I think Blender is always going to be ahead of cinema just because of the community that it has.
Yeah, I mean, it's so generalized,
open source.
You've got kids doing Minecraft animations who were once they were once in cinema. Yeah,
that's true. That was like the thing. You get cinema and do some Minecraft animations, put them on YouTube,
and porting Minecraft worlds and stuff. I always thought that was really cool, seeing that people with Minecraft worlds in cinema. So cool. How quick did it take you to pick up cinema? Do you remember how quick you started to respond to it? I remember the first day I was in cinema. It was in April 2013.
Why the fuck do you remember these things? That's meant.
And I did not remember cubes, the day. And I like combined the cubes together and made like some weird like cube structure and wrote like my name on it, and it was like reflective, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And there was this guy at the time. He had a channel called Check It.
Oh, I know that guy. Yeah. I watched his stuff.
And he made these tutorials of like Throwsy text and stuff, and that sent me off, man. Like, I wouldn't be here without that. Like, I wouldn't be sitting here right now making a living for myself.
There's so many classic tutorial channels that just don't get the credit, do they?
No,
they're just all disappeared.
I know.
Like, I remember there was like Acres HD as well.
Viper.
I don't know where he's gone.
Viper amazing.
Yeah,
ahead of his time.
There's tons of people, but I think you could probably trace back like the time that I started cinema to when I started using it on my channel. Because I did like speed arts damn near every day. Because when I started, I was like, well, I want to learn Photoshop, so I'm gonna give people free stuff because, you know, if I offer free, I didn't expect it to be this fast, but I offered free stuff through my channel. Like I offered 3 banners.
I did.
And I get, back then YouTube DMs were still a thing.
Oh my
So
god.
I got DMs like almost immediately through no promotion or anything. Like I think I had a video or no videos, and I just got messages. It was so crazy to me, but I mean, I guess it's, you know, anyone's going to take it if it's free, right? So that's when I started. I started using Element at first because I looked at cinema and I was like, that's too different from After Effects. I'm not using it. There's too much going on there.
Yeah, Element, I like the look of Element, and this was before I got Octane, and I was like, Element renders look better than standard or physical. But Element just felt, you can't do anything in it.
Yeah, definitely. Like you can only really do, I think at the time you could do text, you could bring in OBJs and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was thinking there, like, it's kind of like the way that I work now, to be honest, because like then I wanted a 3D software that I could use inside my main program at the time, which was After Effects. Mm-hmm. And now I want everything to be in one program, so I use Houdini. So I mean, I'm basically the same person.
I quite like going between multiple programs. I'm not someone that needs it all in one program. I think it's better for my ego to be using different programs.
What do you mean?
Well, having multiple programs on my taskbar, which isn't many actually, it's just Houdini and Cinema right now 3D wise. But Blender's somewhere, but I only go into that like if I download a like STL, and Cinema's like, I don't like that, 'cause sometimes it's like that with STLs.
Houdini
Okay, and then I've got to put it in Blender and take it out. But I think it makes it more fun. It's more adventurous. It's like going to a different place in real life. It's like, imagine working a job and you're at one office all the time, and 1 or 2 days a week, for a few hours in the afternoon, you have to drive 2 hours to go to a different office to get a specific thing, and it's a highlight of your week because you get to sit in your car, listen to a different podcast, get some different food at a place nearby, and come back. You're going into new territory. And I kind of like that in software. A couple days a week, I go into another software, come back, change the scenery. Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of, I kind of like that, you know, I like the variety.
Yeah. I guess I just like the, what's the word? Like the, not the consistency, but that's the best word I can think of.
Yeah, no,
there's not anything changing.
Yeah, going to one source for everything. I can understand that. I think you can also maybe learn it better as well.
Yeah, I think that it probably comes from working in the studio as well, because if I need to hand over project files, I don't need to give over this and that. Everything just comes from this one project, and it's all generated in the same scene. Mm-hmm. All the caches, everything from this one scene, which is nice.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that. It's like cinema's very rarely a program you're taking things out of to put in other programs. So it's the program you bring things into.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I work with people that because like like the studio I work in is like, it's a subset of a studio, so it's like half of the studio, it's like the design studio of this larger studio. So half of them work in cinema because that's like the fucking, you know, the design software, like the MoGraph software that everyone uses. And half of us are like moving into Houdini and think that we're special in that. So so like if you need to do a simulation for someone's cinema scene, then you take like an Alembic, match the camera or bring the camera in, and then, you know, when they bring it back in, then it's all going to match up, and you don't have to worry about them moving shit around and being like, oh, why is it wrong? And it's like, oh, you just need to rotate it a bit. Yeah.
What does that say about cinema though? Do you think that's a good thing that you're never, I mean, the fact that it can't deploy assets to other software, is that good or bad?
Well, you can take out Alembics.
Well, you know you can, but you don't need to because it doesn't do it as well. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. So the fact that you don't need to deploy other assets to other places, you know, like what? Well,
maybe.
What do you think that says? You know,
I don't know.
Because it's like, do you think that's good, or do you think that's bad?
Well, what's the reason that people are using that program? Is it because of like what we were talking about earlier, where everything's accessible to you and it's very quick to do, like Motex and cloners and all this stuff, and instancing. Like instancing in Houdini is like it can be fast, but if you want to do multiple instances, you have to be efficient with it. You have to use code, which, or you could build an asset, of course.
Yeah.
But like all this stuff, it involves time. But with Cinema, you drop down a cloner, you drop like 3 objects in it, and then you've got alternating cloners, alternating objects that are cloned. That shit is a couple clicks compared to Houdini, at least in its default state.
It's slow though. I mean, you've got render instance and multi-instance these days, but
yeah,
a cloner can be, the ceiling for that is very low. I mean, I can tell very early on if I need to go octane scatter or cloner.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
I guess it's because in Cinema, like, geometry isn't handled as well.
it's heavier.
Specifically high. If you're bringing in high poly objects, like, you'll notice if you're. I don't know about Blender, to be honest. I've never used it properly, but Houdini handles really high poly objects like it's ZBrush almost. You know, like it's nothing, like you rotate around it and it's real time. But in Cinema, if you've got like if you got a decent amount of geometry in the scene, then it's not happening. You got to turn off stuff and turn other stuff on that you want to see in real time.
I mean, of course, I'm on a 260 Super, and I doubt I can talk about this project either. But you know, you've seen it, and I, you know, the one you helped me with the simulation.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it was a 3D scan of that, and I poly reduced that by 90%, and for 3 seconds of footage it still took 8 hours to render.
Well, that could be to do with the render engine also.
It could be, yeah. I mean, I tried a lot to dissect the scene, but the geometry was there by itself. It was that and a background. So I was like, why is that taking 8 hours? It was Cinema, and I think combined with Octane, you put those two things together and they're both absolutely throw insults at your geometry. They're like, no, because Cinema itself is ultra stable and Octane isn't. And that, you know, it's like, it's pretty hard to crash Cinema without Octane or another.
Yeah, that is true. Like, I would say that Houdini is way more of it crashes a lot more. I think it's because they update it a lot more, and they don't do enough checks.
Yeah,
and Cinema seems to, like, they'll purpose, they kind of step with purpose in the way that they update. But I do know what you mean. It's a lot more difficult to crash unless it does crash in silly situations like a lot of programs, but like a third-party render engine is like a surefire way to crash it.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think of modeling and UVing? I know UVing is definitely but I know S22 has changed some of those things. But what do you think about modeling? Because I've seen some people think modeling is quite an efficient thing in Cinema, and they have sculpting too, which is actually surprising. Like, there's just a whole sculpting thing there that can negate ZBrush, and you could easily get good enough at it to just negate yourself in ZBrush if you didn't do it full time.
But then you have the thing of the geometry limitation in the viewport. Like, high poly geometry is not handled nearly as well in Cinema as it is in ZBrush, which is fucking amazing.
And why is that?
Handling that. Well, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a program developer.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Well, apparently, I'm probably butchering this, but I was told that ZBrush treats things as like a 2D object or like a 2D piece of geometry, and somehow that's like a way faster way of handling 3D geometry. Okay. I don't understand how it works, but maybe that's the gist of it. But then again, you can look at Houdini, who handles high geometry counts way better. So it's probably just that they need to overhaul the fucking viewport.
Yeah, I think it's hard to get high geometry out of like hard surface modeling though.
What's that?
I think it's hard to get too high geometry out of, like, you know, too high polygon counts out of like hard surface modeling, which is most of what you're doing in Cinema. You know, you're modeling products.
I think that it handles the hard surface stuff pretty well, to be honest.
Yeah, it does. I've never had any issues with it.
And the little speed boost that you get from using the menus, like what is it? I've got Cinema open. So like you do U, and you get like fucking
like UI or like MS to bevel or those different things. Yeah, no, that's really
like
useful.
Those menus are useful. And they're
Yeah.
implemented in some third-party softwares like Arnold uses it as well. So it sort of feels like it's part of the program.
Like that lighter I modeled like a month and a half ago. I did that hard surface and it was easy. Although, and you've got the symmetry objects, which is nice and useful to use as well. But then again, symmetry objects don't get along with booleans.
No, booleans in cinema have always been shit though.
I know, they just like I used the symmetry and then I was like, so I think I had two different versions of the model, one with symmetry and one that wasn't. And of course the one that wasn't, I had to get in the side view, make sure that on my selection I wasn't selecting things that anything that was visible, you know. So I was going straight through the lighter and I was selecting the points on the other side of the model, so I wasn't getting a wonky model.
You can change that.
What do you mean?
Like you can make it so you only select visible.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
but I was turning that off, so I was selecting through the model, so I was selecting points on both sides, so I wasn't just editing one side of the lighter. Because the side with symmetry, when I would use the boolean, the lighter was just hollow on the inside, and I couldn't make it. Well, it already was editable, so and I'd worked slightly too destructive to change that, so I had two different versions that I used in different shots. Because up close, because there was like a screen on the side of the lighter, and I had like a beveled screen inside, and of course if you're up close to that screen you could see straight through the gap between the screen and the lighter into the inside of the geometry, and I had to switch between the two different versions, because the one with the symmetry was neater at a distance, but the one without it, the boolean worked properly. So it's things like that are a bit like, why? Like, why?
I have seen like really because every time I mess up modeling, I'm always like, I always look at like somebody like for lack of a better example, do you know Silverwing?
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah, like he'll post like when he does like a Behance project or whatever. I don't know if he does it recently, but he would do like wireframes of his scene, and his topology looked amazing. And I think at the time that I saw that was all cinema stuff. So I look at that and it's like, you probably can get the right result out of it. I just don't know how to.
Yeah, there's definitely something satisfying about having that like full quad workflow though. You just
exactly. Or full try, depending. Just like one of the two.
Yeah. I mean, although people will get at you about making sure everything's quads, I've had models before and everything's been quads, and I'm still getting dodgy like lighting artifacts and stuff, and it's like, really.
There's probably normals in that case.
Yeah, probably.
Or Fong angle or whatever.
Yeah, Fongs are funny. Do you know where that came? Do you know where that originated from? It was like a guy 30 years ago. His second name was Fong. He created a method of defining topology.
Did he?
Yeah. And then came the Fong.
Where did you find where do you find these facts?
I found that on a forum.
A forum, okay.
Yeah,
I was wondering if there was like an Instagram
fact.
page where somebody posted this stuff.
No, it was.
I might make one that like, I might make like a page that's just like bullshit facts about 3D. So like the thong guy was actually just like, it was like this guy that used to wear like thongs or whatever.
Yeah.
When he was swimming.
I want to know what the guy that put this in the forum found out though. Like, where's this place with all these amazing facts?
Maybe he's just gone on like Wikipedia for fucking 3D modeling or something, and it's like last updated in 99 or something like that.
Have you seen them on 3D meme pages? They're so funny.
Yeah. I try and avoid them because like people from my work will like post to them and they're like 40 years old, and I'm like, come on, man. Come on, stop now.
It's good though. It's like, it's amazing to like crack 3D jokes with people. Like, I don't know, it's a different kind of humor. It's like, it really gives me like an energy of life that I don't get from other areas, to like be with a 3D artist and be like, yo, you see that that railing over there? How many rotation segments do you think it has?
Yeah.
I love 3D.
But like stuff like that, you've got to like, because when people crack jokes like that with me, like I'll question in my head, like, do you talk to people like this normally?
I know, like, imagine.
And then, like, but they're just like joking with me, but I'm just
speak to your parents like that.
Just like, how many times is that subdivided them all?
Pass me can you pass me that tangible object over there? Not the editable and the tangible.
Where'd you think the grass is forester? But yeah. Like sometimes I cringe at it a bit, but like other times it's funny. It just depends.
I put like a
I know the guys or the girls being ironic.
Yeah, like I put like a picture of some trees on my window on my Instagram story a few months ago, and I was like, bet this was made in Forester.
I can't remember who it was. Somebody at my work started. I think this was after they like it ran its course, but the person was just posting pictures of like Coke bottles and stuff and saying like hashtag octane.
I remember you saying that.
That was so good. Nobody cared though. I had like fucking 5 followers.
Oh,
I don't know. People
there's
the renders were just
about,
too
like,
boring.
hyper realistic renders that just don't do well. I think when I clocked onto that, and I was like, I was like torturing myself over getting things to look realistic, and then you realize that people just want to see surreal people looking stuff.
I really respect the people that do like surreal stuff though. Well, not surreal, like not hyper real because that's fucking surreal, but like proper photoreal stuff. Because that shit must take a fucking shit ton of time to do. And especially like people that do like the car stuff, and I'm like, that's a fucking photo, isn't it? And then I like go on there and I'm like, I want to kill myself basically because I realize that they've got like an AI pass of it. Pass.
Like
that shit ruins me.
It's like when I do renders of cars, I always keep them out of like realistic environments. Like I just put them in like a studio, because you see these people in Behance doing renders of cars, and they're like in the street with like leaves falling on top of the car, and the interior's like perfect. I'm like, oh my god,
these photo scan textures and
that's something though. Do you think cinema's better for doing stuff like car adverts and things along the lines of that?
Well, mainly car, like let's say photoreal. Yeah, that's sort of like a Maya or 3ds Max thing, I'd say. Like I don't know how many people still use 3ds Max, but I know Maya still, at least in the studio I work in, is still used.
I feel like the thing is in largely. Cinema, you know, the first tutorial I ever followed for cinema was that amazing tutorial of the glowing spheres when you drop them.
Yeah.
Still on YouTube, yeah? Seen that one? Yeah. And it's a good looking render. And I remember like setting it as my desktop background and stuff. And I remember showing my friends at school and pretending I didn't follow a tutorial. But I made it myself. I promise.
Did this on the weekend.
Yeah. But I feel like, you know, you can get good renders very quickly out of cinema. You can get something that looks good very quickly. You know that bucket render with the ambient occlusion and the global illumination. You're just sitting anticipating. It's amazing. But I feel like with 3DX and Maya, it takes longer to get a better looking render. But when you do get the better looking render, it looks way better and more realistic. Assuming you're not going for surreal, which I hope you're not doing in Maya. But I've seen like uni students and stuff in Maya on 3ds Max, and their stuff looks like wax. Not to offend them, it just does.
I remember, I can't remember the studio name, but they were using Maya, and it was all MoGraph stuff. It looked really nice. So again, that goes into the bank of like the artist is just really fucking good, and they can use their software how they want it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that whole thing with gamers and hertz. It's like, okay, 144 hertz is good, but the person who uses 60 can train themselves up to be as accurate. And I guess it's just if you're at the very, very peak, like the very pinnacle of whatever game, that small advantage you gain from being able to see more frames, that's when it benefits you the most, rather than being fucking shit and being able to see all the frames. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's true. Because you do get these people that with stuff like gaming, they'll get the 240 hertz, even though it's such a small jump from 144 compared to 60 to 144. But it's like, you get.
I do want a higher hertz monitor, but
me too. But I want a 4K monitor and a 144 4K monitor.
4K is way more worth it for 3D, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can fit so much on the screen too.
4K and 60 than 144 and 2K. But you get these people, and it's like you get all these equipment and all these things, and I see people that are in a lot worse positions than me career wise, whether they're in uni or struggling to find work, which we've all been in, and we'll touch on that in a future episode. But
Yeah.
there's no one of graphics cards or equipment that's going to make you a better artist.
That's
At all.
true.
You know, nothing's just
It's
going to make
just-
you produce better renders off the bat. Nothing. It may be placebo because it will make you feel better about your equipment, so you then have more motivation to work. And if that works for you, cool. But it's not going to make you make better renders off the. It's not responsible for your renders. You know.
That motivation always comes down as well. It's like a high, you know. It's got a time limit on it.
Yeah.
So once you're used to working with that hardware or software, well, maybe not software, but hardware, you
learn.
You just come back to where you were basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because when you get your new hardware, there's then a new ceiling, and eventually you reach that, and then you need new hardware, and that will go on forever. But it's like, you look at the hardware like I started out on. It was like some laptop from Curry's, and it had like 4 gigabytes of RAM, and I don't know, some like 4
Like
core CPU.
what I started on was like a fucking mess. Like I would put the volume up all the way on my laptop so I could hear when it blue screened and restarted. And I restarted the render during the night. Good times.
I remember getting my old PC. So I'm on my 3rd rig right now.
Man calls it a rig.
Rig.
It's a battle
It took so
station.
long to upgrade. I was like pushing the limits of my last one. I was like, I'm not getting new stuff. I'm fine on this one. And then I broke like earlier this year, and I was like, okay, it's time.
Yeah, you've been forced to.
Yeah, I was forced to. It's because I'm a cheapskate like you.
Yeah, I'm still on 4 cores. That's actually
I can't
crazy to me.
believe
Like
that.
my phone probably has 4 cores, and it's like old as fuck as well.
But
yeah,
I remember having my Cinema 4D open on my laptop. This was back in like R14. I had it open on my laptop and on my new computer, and I transferred the same scene, and I was rendering them both at the same time, and I was looking at how much quicker the PC was. I was like, this is amazing.
Life changing stuff.
Yeah, life changing. I was like, I can't wait. And then I look at that project that I was then rendering. How much? Because I remember I could finally do like grass simulations in Octane. Do you remember you have to like set the threshold? Not Octane, sorry, in Cinema. Do you remember you had to like set the threshold, otherwise the grass would just like flop on the floor?
Of what? Of hair sim?
In Cinema, yeah. Otherwise the hair would just like flop on the floor. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I remember like rendering that out and thinking it was amazing, and like thinking it was so dense. And you look at it now, and it's like more dirt than it is grass.
Yeah, no, it's all perspective though. It's all like. Like if the last thing you made, especially if you're younger as well, like you'll look at stuff that is like shit to anybody else, but if it's better than what you made last time, you'd be like, oh, that's the shit.
Yeah,
that's for real.
I feel like looking at other people's stuff's always dangerous though. It can be good, but it can be dangerous.
Yeah, I never go on Instagram. I almost feel like a dickhead because people like my stuff like the one time I post or whatever, and then I'll realize they've posted a bunch of stuff and I've not liked any of it. Such a dickhead.
I mean,
I'm
I
just
have
really
different
not on
moods.
Instagram.
If I'm like not having any burnout and feeling motivated, I'm like good. Like I'll sit on my Sketchy FX account, but I have a personal account, which I won't say on here, because it's like a social bridge I just use to just like appease people I know, so I don't have to follow them on my work account, because I don't want pictures of people's annoying faces on my Sketchy FX account when I'm trying to see sick renders. Like, go away. So I just made a personal account for that. I don't have any posts on it or anything, but depending on my mood, like that's where I have all my meme pages and celebrities and stuff. So depending on my mood, if I'm not feeling so like work invested, I'm like, no, I'm going on this account today. I'm gonna dumb my brain with this stuff. And then on Sketchy FX, it's like self-improvement content, 3D stuff. It's like 2 different personalities. It's funny. That's funny. I used to be so into like LinkedIn and trying to use all these different mediums, but I don't know.
LinkedIn is good for getting some work though.
Can be. I've never had anything from it.
Oh really?
But yeah, it was all Instagram. Every freelance project this year came
what a bad boy.
from freelance. From Instagram.
From Instagram. Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into Instagram, but like every time
post like every day for a week and you'll see the power of it.
I can't though. Like if I try and post every day, it'll be shit.
I did it, and I ended up going from like 500 followers to 1,000 in a month.
Damn. Okay.
It's crazy, yeah.
Yeah. No, I need to try. We could do a whole episode about it. You could basically give me a lesson on how to
I could
not be a shithead on
I mean,
Instagram.
I would be. I feel like a bit of imposter syndrome because ever since I've been so jam packed with freelance work, I just haven't been posting on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like earlier in the year, if I got 100 likes, I would have been like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And now if I get 100, I'm like, "This sucks. I want 800. Fuck off. This sucks." And it's annoying that like you go up like that. It's like I'm scared for myself when I'm getting 2,000 likes a post because then I'm gonna get like 900. I'm gonna be like, "This is a bad day."
well, what if this is your peak? How sad will that be?
I'll have
like you just
it.
go down from here and you're like, oh, I wish I was getting 200 likes.
I'll have
even
reverse
200
Platonic adaption.
That's what I'm like.
Yeah,
Wish I could get 200.
That's episode 2 of the Generalists wrapped. Thanks for listening, and check out our other episodes.
Buy Landscape Essentials.
Buy my whole store is
You don't have
cheaper.
to keep that.
My whole store costs the same as Landscape Essentials. I need an £80 product.
Quality over quantity.
I need it. That's what rock kit's gonna be.
80 quid. Fucking how many rocks you put in there?
9.
better be a crack rock that comes with it as well.
My picture on Selfie is gonna be a picture of Dwayne Johnson. Did you see my caption for the rock render?
Yeah, and then somebody thought they were like, haha, I see what you did there.
Yeah, procedural Dwayne Johnson. That's episode 2 of the Generalists. Okay, cool. We can stop recording. So that's going to be today's show. I hope you enjoyed hearing us speak about a wide range of things. If you have any questions, please get in touch. Tell us what you want to hear about. You can find me on Instagram at sketchyeffects, and you can find Ewan at axis_effects. So be sure to get in touch. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week for another episode. Okay, so here in cinema we have a scene.
What's up guys, Axis here and I'm back with showing you how to create a simple shockwave in Houdini.